Hi, my name is Hannah Turpin. I am doing my presentation over my internship I did for the Marriage and Family Studies major. And I did my internship at Madison Cares. I have a few different points to go over here. The first one is, how did you find or arrange the internship? So firstly, I needed something that was local, something close here in Rexburg, and this fit the criteria. I had a list of all the internships that have ever been done by students at BYU, Idaho, and I got that list from my academic advisor, so that was really helpful. She was when looking for internships, so I would definitely recommend talking to your academic advisor when you get to that point. And this sheet it was an Excel spreadsheet, so it had a filter, so you could filter through what didn't apply, so that was nice, and that was one of the things listed. So I went to a lot of different places in the area, and some of them were a little more difficult to get a hold of, and some weren't exactly what I wanted to do. I talked to Family Crisis Center, Journeys, Health and Welfare, and a couple other places, but this one ended up working out. And how I found it, I actually remembered when I was taking Family 430, Family Community class. We did some work with parents as teachers for an activity one time. And I remember that being fun, and I'm like, oh, well, that could work. So I contacted them, and I talked with the lady there about doing it. And she's like, well, we normally work with the younger kids, pre-kindergarten age, so the young ones. But why don't you talk to people at Madison Cares? They work with grade school, so kindergarten through 12. So I was like, okay. So then I got the number and I talked to them. And I wasn't really sure what they did. So I looked on their website and their Facebook page to learn more about them and see what they did and what they were about. And that was really helpful. And it told me everything I needed to know. And that was also very helpful when, right before my interview with them, I reviewed just to have it fresh. So that was helpful. What were my responsibilities in the internship? My responsibilities were not the same every single day. They were really different on the different weeks, sometimes on the day. But there were a couple things that were regular that I got to help out with and be responsible for. One thing that we do is it's a food pantry, just for those who are needy or just need a little extra food, and that's once a month. It's either the second or third Tuesday of the month. I can't remember which one. And they always need a lot of help with that, so I did that on a pretty regular basis. Helped get ready for it, and I helped run it and just helped out with it. I actually started working for a communication specialist, and that was fun, and it's a little different than what I wanted at first, but it was good because then I was able to see the other side of the organization rather than just the clinical team. So it was good to see some of the behind the scenes kind of things you don't normally think about. And after a few weeks of working with her, I went to the head director of the clinical team, and I asked him if it would be possible to work with them, and he said yes, so that was awesome. But if you do have an internship here, you will have to ask them directly. They would start you out working with the communication specialist, so you're going to have to ask. Another thing I did, I helped a lot with our projects, campaigns, and different events, as well as social media, pretty regularly. We do a lot of different events and campaigns and lots of just different things. There's always stuff to do, so I got to help out with youth group, which is really fun. That's every other Wednesday they do. And it's just working with the older kids, the high school age, and some of the junior high and middle school. So the older kids, and many of these kids are our clients. So it's neat to get to meet them, get to know them, get to see kind of what some of the things these kids are struggling with, and just help them out. So that one's really cool. And like I said, that's working directly with clients, so way cool opportunity. And then also while working for them, a couple different times I was put in charge of projects and left completely to do it on my own. They kind of told me, hey, this is what I'd like you to do. This is just kind of our end goal. And then they just gave it to me and let me completely take it over. So I just did that. a lot of responsibility, but it was a nice opportunity. How did you benefit the site you served? So, like I said, Madison Cares is a place where they need a lot of different volunteers, and they have so much stuff they couldn't do at all if they didn't have volunteers and extra hand and interns and just all the extra help that they do get. So they really appreciated that, and it actually helps a lot. There's always a lot of work that needs done around there. Some of it's not as fun as I would like it to be, but it needs done. Like I said, when we worked with the schools, we got our campaign, the Got Your Back campaign, that was a suicide awareness and prevention campaign, and we had to prepare curriculum and packets for every student in every class of every school in Madison District and Sugar Salem. So for every single student. So that was a lot of work, and it took quite a while. It took a couple weeks to get together. So that's just an example. They always need help for that kind of stuff. Yeah, so like I said, some of it's not as fun, but it really needs done, and then it allows their staff to work on other things that interns can't really do. So that's how I benefit them. And how did I benefit personally from the experience? Like I've said, this internship is really about serving others. We do like I said, we do the food pantry, and that is giving food to those who are needy, those who just don't get it as often as they need to. We work with all these clients who have problems, who have family problems, who have personal problems, and they just need a little extra help. Most of the people we work with are, well, not most of them, a lot of them are kids in the school, because we work with the school district. So we really help them out, try and get them going in the right direction if they're struggling or not on a great path. This internship really helped me work on being a team player, because you just have to work really well with everyone in the office, and because it's everyone working together, can't really work separately from everyone, because we're just always collaborating and working together. You have to, like I said, there's a lot of hard work that goes in. Some of it's not as fun, so it helps you to work on your work ethic. So that was good. And when you start, you have to sign a confidentiality agreement. In fact, the very first day I started, I signed it, and then I went straight into a meeting. And it reminds me that this is a very serious field where you're dealing with people's lives and their personal information, some of the things they struggle with, and that, they would not want anyone else to know. So you need to be respectful of them and their personal life, and you sign that confidentiality agreement, and you keep it to yourself, and you talk about it with those you work with, and it doesn't leave the office. So that is, it was good practice, but it wasn't really practice, it was real life, but it was a good reminder. Also, like I said, I got to sit in on a lot of staff meetings, and when I started working with the clinical team, I got to go to sessions and their meetings and talk to many people at the schools, so that there was a lot of learning there. I heard about all of our clients, whether I got to work with them or not. I heard what was going on, some of the struggles. I got to see some of the processes we go through to help these clients. And in addition to that, you get to work with and talk to and meet so many other people that we work with. You get to meet the clients, their teachers, maybe a therapist. We work with CPS. Just all these different people, like a PSR worker, or I guess now CVRS worker. So that is really cool, and you get to learn about all these different professions that are close in this field. So that was really interesting and helpful at the same time. Great learning. Describe one important connection between your coursework and what you experienced during your internship. So the very first thing I noticed that kind of actually drew me into this internship when I was looking into it, I got on the website and I watched the little bit of video that they have that talks about what they do and what they're about and how they help people and families. And one of the very first things it talked about was that they work with these kids and these individuals, but they really try and work with a family as a whole, because we know that when we work with a family, the whole family unit, it works a lot better than working with just the individual. So that kind of really stuck out to me because I know we talk about that so much in all of our classes, and in this major it's a big deal. So that kind of really drew me in, and I thought that was really cool. Like I said, we work with all these clients. We make it as family involved as we can. Some clients, it doesn't work out where we can work with their whole family as we would like to, but we do try our hardest. Some just have families that are more cooperative and that are better about getting back to you, and yeah, and then you have some whose parents are avoiding you and they're just trying to keep everything together and on probation and just trying to keep it together, so they can be really hard to get a hold of. But we try our hardest, and we try to be really understanding of those who are really busy, and yeah. So we also have something called a wraparound specialist, and this reminds me how important it is to work with the whole family. And what that is they work with the clients, but then they also bring everyone that's involved. Kind of like I was saying earlier, we get to meet all these different people in the same field. We bring in the family if we can, the parents, teachers, doctors, probation officers, just whoever is involved with our certain client, and we try and have these meetings where everyone involved is sitting in a room together. So that way the client feels like they kind of know what's going on, and they feel like they have more input to the decisions that are being made about their life, and it just helps things go a lot smoother when you have everyone sitting down together and we can discuss things. So that's really cool. I really like that they do that. Another thing, obviously you have to have a lot of love and empathy for those we work with. Otherwise, how can we really help or understand them if you don't really care, if you don't really love them? It won't work out. So it really reminds me that you have to love them and try and understand them, even though sometimes those people can be a little difficult. Next slide. Would you recommend this site experience to other students? I would. Like I said, Madison Cares, they always need volunteers. They always like having interns to help out. They love it. So, and if you want an in with them, I think you should volunteer at some of their events that they have. That will definitely help you get a foot in the door. That's helpful. And there's so much learning to go on here. Like I said, I've learned so much and about clients, about these different things, about different professions I could go into. So much learning. So it's really cool. So that, and you just learn so much as, a disciple of Christ. You learn to care about others, even though, like I said, it's really difficult sometimes. So that is cool. And if so, whom would the students contact to arrange an internship at the site? So if you wanted to work with Madison Cares, you would contact Janet Goodluff. She's a project director. She is a very busy woman. She is always at meetings, out of state, at different conferences. She is so busy, and she is such a hard worker. So if you want this internship, I would contact them ahead of time. I wouldn't wait till last minute hoping to get something. So contact them ahead of time. It'll take her probably a little bit to get back, so be persistent but not annoying. But let them know you really want to be there and you care, and look into things, like I said, on their website or on their Facebook, and see what they're about. That way you know going into intern interview. And if you're a child development major, you could try Parents as Teachers. The head director over there is Deb Allen, and they have a great program, and that's also on the same website, so their contact info. So yeah, if you're interested, just get on their website page or their Facebook page, and their contact info is there. And then, like I said, volunteer. Just volunteer, and that'll really help you get to know them and for them to get to know you, and help you get a foot in the door. So that's what I would suggest to do. And that was my internship. Thank you so much.